So today's video is about development of retina. So first of all that, as you already know what is optic curve and you already know that is optic curve, so here derived from optic vesicle, and this optic vesicle is neuroectodermal in origin. So that's all about. Now I want to here discuss you about the divisions of here optic curve. So here you can see that this optic curve, so from the portion of optic curve, so here above this line is the anterior part, and the portion of optic curve, so here behind after this line is known as posterior part. So therefore that this posterior part and anterior part, and you can also see that this anterior part is small but this posterior part is large. That's all. So here you can see that the optic curve divided into anterior and posterior part. Anterior part is thin and small and posterior part is large. Now here you can see that in this posterior part also there are two layers. So here basically the outer layer is thin but the inner layer is thick. So therefore that I written that this posterior part has inner and outer layers. So here further divisions or study of the posterior part. So here posterior part of optic curve. So here basically that this is the outer layer and this is the inner layer. As I already mentioned that this posterior part has only outer and inner layers. Now here if you see the derivatives of these layers, derivatives, you can see that this so here that is outer layer converted into a black pigmented layer, whereas this so here inner layer converted into a nervous layer. So here that's all I've written that is the outer layer of the posterior part of optic curve. So here forms the pigmented layer, whereas the inner layer of the posterior parts of optic curve converted into this nervous layer. So first pigmented layer and nervous layer. So now I want to further describe about further divisions of nervous layer. As you can see here basically that is nervous layer is also gets divided into further three parts, basically matrix, mantle and marginal. So therefore that I written that is the nervous layer of the optic curve, or the nervous layer of the posterior part of optic curve got divided into three layers: matrix, mantle and marginal. Now so here basically I want to here discuss the derivatives of each of these parts. So therefore derivatives of nervous layer. So first, so matrix, mantle, and marginal, these are the derivatives. That these are the here different divisions of nervous layer. So first of all let's discuss about the derivatives of matrix. So therefore that you can see here that this matrix, so here it forms basically two important cells, basically rods and cones, and you know that basically that these rods and cones, so here in normal human basically that they so here help in seeing the vision. Basically rods, they are responsible for night vision, and cones, so here they are responsible for day vision, daylight vision, or you can say daylight vision. And here as you know that basically that these cone cells, they are responsible for responding to colors, different colors, but these rods they can't so respond to different colors like red cone, green cone, all these different types of cones are there, and due to these different types of cones, so here people can receive different primary colors: red, green, blue. So therefore, so that's about a further information. But for embryologically, that you should know that this matrix forms so here two types of cell, rods and cones. So here nodes are for night vision and cones are for daylight vision. So therefore I have written that matrix forms rods and cones of the future retina. So again derivatives of so here mantle layer, as you can see here that is mantle forms so here bipolar cells, ganglionic cells, amacrine cells and horizontal cells. And here we see amacrine cells and horizontal cells, which so here all these type of cells act as so here supportive neurons of retina. So therefore that I written that mantle layer forms bipolar cells, ganglionic cells and other neurons of retina like amacrine cells and horizontal cells. So now I want to discuss about the derivatives of marginal layer. But before discussing the derivatives of marginal layer, so here that you should understand that, so here first of all that is ganglionic cell. So here it is present in the, so here basically mantle layer, but that each axon you can see here that extends into this marginal layer. Now slowly you can notice that due to extension of the axons of these ganglionic cells into these marginal layers, that so here that in this marginal layer, so here basically layers of nerve fibers, you can see that these are the layers of nerve fibers. So therefore that this marginal layer converted into a layers of nerve fibers due to extension of this axon of ganglionic cell. So therefore that due to the extension of axons of ganglionic fibers, the marginal layer got converted into a layer of nerve fibers. So therefore basically the derivative of a margin layer, if you want to know, so your margin layer forms nerve fibers. So finally that it is the initial optic stalk. So now here you can see that is pigmented layer formed by this outer layer, and that is inner nervous layer forms these layers of roots and cones, layers of bipolar, so here layers of bipolar ganglionic cells, and also basically, and this marginal layer forms layers of nerve fibers. Now so here that initially you can see here that this is the optic stalk and this is the, so here so these are the layers of nerve fibers. But now you can notice that slowly that these layers of nerve fibers are migrating into optic stalk, and here you can see that due to migration of this optic stalk of nerve fibers into this optic stalk, that is optic stalk gets converted into optic nerve. So that's the formation of optic nerve. So therefore I written that due to the migration of, so here due to the migration of nerve fibers, so here into this optic stalk, the optic stalk got converted into optic nerve. So here in this optic nerve form. So finally, so here that this is the formation. So here basically formation of retina. So here basically in fetus, and here it is in the newborn baby. Here that you can notice that in fetus is a pigmented layer, and this is the, so here nervous layer, basically layers of, so here layers of roots and cones, layers of ganglionic cells and bipolar cells, and layers of nerve fibers, and these are also present in, so here these are also present in the, so here in newborn baby. But additional you can notice that in case of that in fetus, that between this nervous layer and this pigmented layer, that is one, an additional space is present, as you can notice, and this additional space which is present between this pigmented layer and this nervous layer is known as intraretinal space. So therefore that I written that in fetus there is a space present between the pigment layer and nervous layer, and already you know, so here nervous layer consists of layers of roots and cones, layers of ganglionic cells, bipolar cells, other neurons, and layers of nerve fibers. But the space which is present between this pigmented layer and nervous layer is known as intraretinal space. Now here basically question arises, basically why this intraretinal space disappears. So before birth, as it is not present in newborn baby, the main reason is that due to proliferation of the neurons of this inner cell layer. So therefore I have written that with the proliferation of the nervous cells or the neurons of the inner cell layer, the intraretinal space disappears, and therefore it is absent in newborn baby. And now basically what is the cause of the formation of this intraretinal space? I am going to tell now. So first of all, as you already know that this prosencephalon has cavity as well as wall. Now from this prosencephalon, that is optic sulcus form, and this optic sulcus later gets converted into optic vesicle and optic stalk, and later this optic vesicle becomes optic curve. So therefore, so here basically that is optic curve, a vesicle becomes optic curve. So therefore that you can also see that if this now that this optic curve derived from this prosencephalon, and as I already mentioned that this prosencephalon has cavity, so therefore that this optic curve also has cavity, and due to the cavity of that optic curve, that is intraretinal space appeared. So this is the main reason. So therefore why, so therefore I have written that intraretinal space formed due to the cavity of optic curve, and this optic curve has cavity as it is derived from prosencephalon. So now I want to discuss here about the development of cornea. So here, as you already know that this is the optic stalk, and here and around the optic stalk, so here mesodermal layers are present, and these mesodermal layers are also divided into two parts. So here basically superficial and inner. So here superficial mesodermal layer and inner mesodermal layer. Now, so therefore I have written that there are, so here basically mesodermal layers around the optic stalk and optic curve. But now that these mesodermal layers later form mesenchyme, so therefore that so here I have also written that superficial mesenchyme and out, and here inner mesenchyme. So therefore that there are mesenchymes around the optic stalk and optic curve, and these mesenchymes obtained from mesoderms. Now here basically that this is the same diagram that this is a superficial mesenchyme, inner mesenchyme, optic curve. So now later you can see here that their derivatives. So here if you want to know their derivatives, that their derivatives is simple, that this, so here superficial mesenchyme forms dura mater, and this inner mesenchyme forms, you can see here, pia and arachnoid mater. For that I have written that the superficial mesodermal layer or the superficial mesenchyme forms dura mater, and the inner mesodermal layer and the inner mesenchyme forms pia mater. Now, so here that this is, so here these are the layers of cornea. Basically there are 5 layers: corneal epithelium, basically non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, Bowman's capsule, substantia nigra, descens membrane, and posterior cuboid epithelium. Basically there are 5 layers, and all these 5 layers you will have to study in histology also. So now as you can see here that this Bowman's capsule, that is a Bowman's capsule, substantia nigra, and descens membrane, and posterior cuboid epithelium, that all these 4 structures derive from a single layer, which is superficial fibrous mesodermal layer, whereas that this corneal epithelium derived from surface ectoderm. So therefore I have written that is a superficial fibrous mesodermal layer or a superficial fibrous mesenchyme forms the following parts of cornea, basically Bowman's layer, substantia nigra, descens membrane, and posterior cuboid epithelium. And the surface ectoderm, as I written that this corneal epithelium derived from surface ectoderm, that the surface ectoderm forms the corneal epithelium or a superficial surface epithelium. And here, and if you want to see that this is a diagram of epithelium in the normal human eye, so here that you can see here that is a pink color portion is the epithelium, superficial epithelium. It is formed from the surface ectoderm, and this, so a silver color portion, so here it is the, it contains Bowman, so here Bowman's membrane, substantia nigra, so and a descens membrane and posterior cuboid epithelium, and all these layers obtained from mesoderm. So therefore mesodermal derivatives. So surface epithelium and this mesodermal derivatives together form the normal adult corneal structure. That's all. Now, so basically, so today you have learned about development of retina and cornea. So basically, if you can see that that this, so here a retina, so here obtained from this optic curve, and you already know that this optic curve obtained from, and this optic curve obtained from basically prosencephalon, and this prosencephalon, so here you can see here basically that it is a division of neural tube, and all divisions of neural tube, they are so here ectodermal in origin. So therefore basically, so here retina is ectodermal in origin. But if you want to see that this cornea, so if you want to see that cornea, so here basically that this cornea, so here derived from the mesodermal layers as well as from ectodermal layers. So therefore cornea is ectodermal as well as mesodermal in origin. I am going to write. So a very important part. So here prosencephalon is neuroectodermal in origin as already discussed. Now here that this prosencephalon forms optic curve and therefore optic curve is also neuroectodermal in origin, and this optic curve forms retina. So therefore retina is also neuroectodermal in origin. Now here cornea derived from surface ectoderm and mesoderm. So therefore cornea is ectodermal and mesodermal in origin. So that's all about today's video. I hope that this video helps you a lot. So thank you for watching the video. Please stay tuned.